Hi, welcome to Business Weekly on Citi TV. With me, Pius Amihere Eduku. Coming up in this edition, New Bank of Ghana report revealed that commercial banks have increased their interest on deposit due to low liquidity in the financial system. And government says it is being conservative in predicting oil revenue from the 10 oil fields. Details of these and other stories coming up in this edition. To our very first story, and latest figures released by the Bank of Ghana show that commercial banks in the country have increased their interest paid on deposit in a bid to attract more funds. According to the publication, the average interest on deposit have increased from about 9% to 12.3%. Also, the minimum interest that you are expected to pay on a loan you contract from a bank has increased to about 27.5%. Speaking on the latest developments, the president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Clifford Metal, said the development is as a result of the low liquidity in the financial system. He, however, dismissed reports that some banks will lose as a result of low interest on deposits. To the oil and gas sector, where Finance Minister Seth Terkper says government is being cautious in predicting oil revenue from the 10 oil fields. Prior to the commencement of work on the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, government pegged full capacity production at 90,000 barrels. But the declining prices of the commodity on the world market, coupled with the hitches on the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, has prompted government to revise its projected oil revenue from the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah. With this in mind, Seth Terkper says government will be cautious this time round. Staying with the oil and gas sector, and the total value of projects awarded to Ghanaians increased to over $200 million from January to June this year. This, according to the Ministry of Petroleum, is an improvement of the figures recorded for the same period last year. Sector Minister Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Buah attributed this to the passage of some legislative instruments in the local content law. To some figures on the economy, and the producer price inflation for the month of July hit 10.3%. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, this figure represents a 2.7% increase compared to that recorded in June, which stood at 7.6%. The utility subsector recorded the highest producer price inflation of 36.6%, followed by the mining and quarrying subsector, which recorded 30.4%. The least was recorded by the manufacturing sector, which was 1.0%. In other business stories, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has renewed pressure to let government flush out all foreigners in the retail market. According to GUTA, the efforts by government to roll out modalities to address the issue have not been encouraging. The executives of GUTA on Tuesday visited some shops in the Central Business District of Accra to ascertain the situation. The president of GUTA, Berima Dr. George Ofori I, also tells Citi Business News he is confident the exercise will provide the necessary evidence demanded by some state institutions in getting the matter addressed. To the cocoa sector now, and the minority shareholders and the board of the Produce Buying Company Limited have renewed calls for a recapitalization of the company. This follows PBC's admission the continuous reliance on bank loans is taking a toll on the company's finances. In 2014, PBC paid a total of 85 million cedis in interest on loans from Cocoa Board and some commercial banks. Even though the company made over 6 million cedis in profit in 2015, it spent over 50% of that in financing loans. The CEO of the PBC, Maswell Kojo Atakra, tells Citi Business News the profit could increase significantly if the company is allowed to recapitalize. We end with news from the telecom industry, where telecom analyst Fuad Chalabi has downplayed a significant impact of the likely exit of Espresso from Ghana's telecom industry. Now, the National Communications Authority last week served notice that it has begun processes to revoke the license of Espresso over its inability to secure an investor and increase revenue to government and stakeholders. But Fuad Chalabi says Espresso's market share is insignificant, hence a decision to exit the telecoms industry would have a minimal impact. And that will be it for this week's edition of Business Weekly on Citi TV. My name is Pius Amihere Eduku. Join us next week for another edition.